Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into AI agents, and things are getting pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We've all seen the headlines, right? AI is everywhere, from like scheduling appointments to, heck, some people are even using AI to write their dating profiles.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's wild. And get this, by next year, over a quarter of companies plan to launch pilot programs using AI agents. It's a huge shift, and it shows you how fast this technology is, taking off.
Right.
But there's a bit of a catch.
Yeah.
Traditional AI has, always struggled with reasoning.
Yeah, that's right.
Even those large language models, the LLMs that everyone's talking about, they're great at, writing text, but when it comes to actually thinking things through, they kind of hit a wall.
Yeah, they haven't quite been able to reach their full potential yet.
So how do we get past that? How do we get AI agents that can actually reason and make smart decisions?
Good question.
Well, that's what this deep dive is all about.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at a new class of AI models that are designed to reason more like humans do.
Interesting.
They're called reasoning language models, or RLMs for short.
Okay, RLMs?
Yeah, so RLMs are pretty different from how those traditional LLMs work.
How so?
Well, LLMs, they're trained on tons of data to predict, the next word in a sentence, right?
Right.
But RLMs, they're trained to actually think before they respond. They can break down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. It's like, imagine someone blindly following a recipe versus a chef who understands how cooking actually works.
Oh.
So instead of just giving information, these RLMs are trying to understand the task and figure out the best way to approach it.
Yeah.
So they don't just give one response based on patterns they've seen before.
No, they can try out different solutions, evaluate the pros and cons, and even detect errors and refine their answers before they give you that final result.
Wow, that's a game changer, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It sounds like we're talking about AI that can actually problem solve and think critically. But how does this work in practice? Can you give us an example of how an RLM might approach a complex task?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Let's say you ask an RLM to plan a trip for you.
Okay.
Instead of just giving you a list of hotels and flights, an RLM could actually break down that task into those smaller steps, right? It might start by asking you about your preferences, budget, and travel dates.
Okay.
Then it would research different destinations, compare prices, consider transportation options.
Wow.
And even factor in things like the weather and even local events.
So it's basically going through a logical reasoning process.
Yeah, just like a human travel agent would.
That's really impressive. It sounds like, having a personal assistant that can not only do tasks, but also plan and strategize.
Exactly.
But how do we make sure these RLMs are up to the task?
Yeah.
How do we give them the brain power they need to handle that level of complexity?
That's where this idea of computational scaling comes in.
Okay.
Traditionally, we've focused on scaling computation during the training phase.
Yeah.
So feeding the model tons of data so it can learn.
Right, right.
But with RLMs, the focus is shifting to scaling computation during inference. So when the AI is actually generating a response.
Oh, okay. So we're giving these models more processing power and memory when they're actually thinking about a problem.
Exactly. Precisely. It's giving someone more time to work through a puzzle. The more time they have to analyze all the pieces and try those different combinations,
yeah,
the more likely they are to find a solution.
Okay. That makes sense. But we're not just giving them more time, right?
No.
It's about giving them better tools during that time.
Exactly. And that's where these specific inference-time reasoning techniques come in.
Right. You mentioned those earlier. Best end selection.
Yeah.
Beam search optimization, and diverse tree search. These all sound pretty complex.
Yeah, they do.
Can you break those down for us and explain how they work?
Sure. So let's start with best end selection.
Okay.
Imagine you're taking a multiple choice test.
Okay.
You read the question and come up with a few possible answers.
Right.
And then you evaluate those options and choose the one that seems most likely to be correct. That's essentially what best end selection does. The model generates a few different possible responses and then uses its internal evaluation metrics to select the best one.
Okay, that's pretty clear. So how is beam search optimization different?
Okay, think of it like navigating a maze.
A maze, okay.
You start at the beginning and you have all these different paths you could take.
Right.
With beam search, the model explores a few of the most promising paths at the same time, step by step. At each step, It evaluates the potential of each path and prunes away the ones that seem less likely to reach the goal.
Okay, so it's like constantly hedging its bets.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So it's a more strategic approach than just trying every solution at once.
Yeah, it allows the model to use its computational resources more efficiently and get to a solution faster.
Makes sense. And what about diverse tree search? How does that one work?
Diverse tree search is all about getting the model to think outside the box.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're trying to solve a creative problem,
Okay.
like coming up with a new marketing campaign, you don't want to just stick with the first idea that comes to mind.
Right.
You want to explore a whole range of different possibilities, even if some of them seem a little unconventional at first.
I see.
So that's what diverse tree search does. It generates multiple reasoning trees, each exploring a different approach to the problem.
Okay.
And then it evaluates the results from all these different trees to find the most effective solution.
So we're giving these AI agents the ability to brainstorm.
Yeah, basically.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
But all this talk about AI reasoning and problem solving, it brings up some big questions like, what are the implications of this technology? What does it mean for the future of work?
Yeah, that's something we definitely need to consider.
Right.
I mean, as AI becomes more capable of reasoning and problem solving, it's natural to wonder if certain jobs will become automated.
Right. Are the robots taking over?
And the answer is, some probably will. But it's important to remember that AI is just a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used to make us better at our jobs, not necessarily replace us entirely.
So instead of thinking about AI taking our jobs, we should be thinking about how it can help us do our jobs better.
Exactly. Imagine a world where AI could handle all the boring, repetitive tasks and then frees us up to focus on the more creative and strategic parts of our work.
Yeah, the fun stuff.
That's the kind of future I think we should be aiming for.
That's a much more optimistic way to look at it. But what about the potential downsides? I mean, are there risks with giving AI this level of power?
Of course, there are always potential risks with any powerful technology. I think one concern is that we could become too reliant on AI and basically outsource all our critical thinking to machines. We have to remember that AI is still made by humans.
Right.
And can reflect the biases of their creators, you know.
I see.
We need to be aware of those pitfalls and make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly.
That's a great point. It's not just about making AI more powerful.
Yeah.
It's also about making sure it's used for good.
Exactly.
So we've talked about how reasoning AI works and why it matters. But I'm curious about the so what? What are some of the most exciting potential applications of this technology? Where might we see the biggest impact?
Well, the possibilities are huge.
Yeah.
I think healthcare is one area where we'll see a big difference.
Okay.
Imagine AI that can analyze medical data and help doctors diagnose diseases.
Wow.
Or even create personalized treatment plans.
That's incredible.
Another big one is scientific discovery. RLMs could analyze massive data sets, identify patterns, and generate hypotheses. Basically speeding up research in all sorts of fields.
That would be amazing. Those are some incredible possibilities. It sounds like reasoning AI has the potential to change entire industries.
Yeah, it really does.
But I'm also curious about the impact on our everyday lives.
Yeah.
How might this technology change how we interact with the world?
Well, think about all the ways we use AI right now. For navigation, communication, entertainment, everything.
It's already everywhere.
Now imagine those systems becoming even smarter and more intuitive.
It's like having a super intelligent companion to help us with everything.
Yeah, I like that.
And, you know, as this technology keeps growing, I bet we'll see even more creative applications, stuff we haven't even thought of.
Oh, absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
It's definitely an exciting time to be, following AI. But like we've been talking about, there are some things to think about, right? Like the ethics of it all, potential risks, how it could affect society.
For sure. It's super important that we're both excited about this technology and careful about how we develop it and use it.
Totally. We need to be talking about the benefits and the challenges and work together to make sure it benefits everyone.
Couldn't agree more.
Well said. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap things up. We've really gone deep today, haven't we?
We have.
Exploring this whole world of reasoning AI.
Yeah. From how it works to what it could mean for us.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this is giving you a lot to think about. As AI keeps evolving and becomes more a part of our lives, it's more important than ever to stay informed and be a part of the conversation.
Definitely.
So what are your hopes and concerns about AI? How do you think it will shape our world? Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep talking about it.
Absolutely. The future is full of possibilities, and it's up to all of us to shape it.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of reasoning AI.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.
Hey, everyone. Did you know over half of all AI users are already using AI agents?
It's crazy how fast this tech is growing, right?
Totally. It's changing how businesses work,
Yeah.
even how we interact with tech.
For sure.
There's got to be a catch, though, right?
Well, with all the AI hype,
Yeah.
traditional AI has kind of struggled with complex reasoning.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so traditional AI is great at things like translation
Okay.
or like summarization, but if you ask it to solve a logic puzzle, it might not go so well.
I see. So, like, it's got all this information but doesn't know how to really use it.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay, so where do these reasoning language models fit in?
Yes, RLMs.
RLMs, yeah. Are they like the missing piece of the puzzle?
You could say that. They're designed to actually think before responding.
Okay, so unlike those LLMs, the large language models,
Right.
these RLMs are like the next step.
Yeah, so traditional LLMs just generate text based on patterns they've learned. But RLMs are designed to break down problems, even identify their own errors.
That's pretty impressive.
Oh.
So how do they actually differ, like, in practice?
So imagine you're solving a math problem. An LLM might just recall a formula.
Right.
But an RLM would actually, think through the problem step by step.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It is.
Are there, like, any real-world examples of that kind of thinking?
Oh, absolutely. Some RLMs can actually generate their own reasoning sequences.
What? No way!
Yeah, it's like showing your work, which means they don't need us to prompt them step by step. They can figure things out on their own.
Okay, now that is seriously cool. But I imagine it takes a ton of effort to train these AI models to think like that.
You're not wrong. Training an AI is like a massive gram session.
Yeah.
It has to absorb tons of data.
Right.
And this requires massive computing power.
So we're talking big bucks.
Oh, yeah. Millions of dollars.
Oh, okay. So we've talked about training, but what about inference?
Right. Inference. That's where the AI puts all that training to use.
Okay, so it's generating responses based on what it's learned.
Exactly.
So that's where it really shines.
Yes, but traditionally, this has been a one-and-done process. But RLMs are kind of changing that.
How so?
Well, by boosting the computational power during inference, we allow the AI to explore different potential answers.
Interesting.
And then it can actually refine those answers before giving you the best solution.
Okay, so it's not just about being smart, it's about being thorough.
Right.
That makes me wonder, what are the trade-offs between computational power and, like, this deeper reasoning ability?
That's a good question. It's a balance, for sure.
Right.
More computational power means more complex reasoning, but it also needs more resources.
Of course.
What's exciting, though, is that even smaller RLM models can be super effective.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and sometimes even rival the performance of much larger models.
So that means powerful AI could become a lot more accessible.
Exactly. Smaller models, less cost, more people can benefit.
That's fantastic. So tell me more about these specific strategies for enhancing reasoning during inference. I know you mentioned best-end selection and beam search optimization.
Sure. Imagine the AI generates a bunch of responses.
Okay.
And then chooses the one with the highest score. That's basically best-end selection.
Makes sense. What about beam search optimization?
So with beam search, the AI explores multiple solutions at the same time.
Like trying different paths.
Yes. It's like branching out in a maze, constantly refining the most promising paths.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And what about diverse tree search?
Diverse tree search. It's really interesting. It encourages the AI to think outside the box. Instead of just focusing on one path, it builds multiple reasoning trees.
Wow.
Evaluates them and picks the best approach for that specific problem.
Okay, so we've got these RLMs that can generate their own reasoning, and we're using these techniques to make their responses even more thoughtful. This really feels like next-level AI. But how do we actually shape these models after that initial training?
You've hit on a really important point. Most AI models today, they go through multiple stages of refinement.
Interesting.
Pre-training lays the foundation.
Okay.
But to really excel, they need more specialized training.
Gotcha. So, like, after their basic training, they specialize.
Exactly.
What does that advanced training look like?
Well, think of it as integrating structured reasoning into that post-training process.
Structured reasoning. So we're teaching them to think logically.
Exactly. To deduce and solve problems in a structured way.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is, but it's super fascinating.
Yeah.
There are lots of different approaches being developed.
Like what?
Well, for example, some models are trained to generate those reasoning sequences.
Right, like showing their work.
Yes, so we can see how they arrive at a conclusion.
That's a big step for transparency in AI.
Absolutely. It helps us understand how they're making decisions.
Yeah.
And even identify any potential errors.
So it's not just about getting the answer. It's about understanding the why behind it.
Exactly.
This is all really exciting. You mentioned earlier that, scaling computation during inference can allow those smaller models to get results like the bigger models.
Yes.
How does that affect accessibility and affordability?
Well, in the past, developing cutting-edge AI was really expensive.
Right.
Only big companies and organizations could do it.
Right.
But now, with smarter inference, we can get similar results with smaller models.
So it's like democratizing AI.
Exactly, making it available to more people.
That's amazing. This whole deep dive into RLMs has been a real eye-opener. It's clear that AI is evolving rapidly, and the possibilities are incredible.
Yeah.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to consider the broader implications of all of this.
For sure.
If AI can reason like this now, what does that mean for the future?
That is a great question. And to be honest, that's what keeps me up at night.
It's exciting, but a little scary too, right?
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the potential impact on things like the workforce.
Yeah.
And even our relationship with technology as it becomes more and more sophisticated.
It's a lot to think about.
Definitely. But by working together and having open conversations, we can navigate these changes and ensure AI is used for good.
Well said. This has been an amazing conversation. We've only scratched the surface of RLMs. But there's so much more to explore.
There is.
We'll delve into more next time.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. This is all really fascinating stuff.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our deep dive into RLMs.
It's amazing to think we're already at the point where AI can think before it speaks.
It really is. And we've only just begun to explore how RLMs are changing things.
For sure.
I'm really interested in seeing how this shift from just giving answers to actual problem solving is playing out in the real world.
Well, one area we're already seeing a big impact is customer support.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, my own experiences with automated customer support haven't always been great.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
But imagine AI agents that can really understand your questions.
Okay.
And then actually reason through complex issues, troubleshoot problems, and give you personalized solutions.
Yeah.
This could totally change customer satisfaction.
For sure.
And it would free up human agents to handle those really tricky cases.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like having a truly helpful assistant instead of just like a robot reading a script.
Right, exactly.
What about more specialized fields, though? Can RLMs handle something as complex as healthcare?
Absolutely. In healthcare, RLMs could help doctors with diagnoses.
Wow.
They could analyze medical images, personalize treatment plans, even speed up drug discovery.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine an AI that can go through all those medical journals and research,
Yeah.
find patterns and suggest things a human doctor might miss.
That sounds like it could revolutionize healthcare.
Yeah, it's a really exciting prospect.
It is. It really is. So RLMs are impacting customer service and healthcare, but what other fields are being affected?
Well, we're also seeing them being used in fields that need a lot of creativity, like software development.
Oh, wow.
And research.
Okay.
Imagine an AI that could help us design better solar panels or develop new materials or even analyze data to make scientific discoveries.
So they could be a huge help to scientists and researchers.
Exactly. By helping humans, RLMs can help us solve some of the biggest challenges we face.
This is incredible, but let's be real for a second.
Oh, okay.
There must be some challenges to using RLMs in the real world, right? What are some of the hurdles?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is making sure they're reliable.
Okay.
We need to know that they're making good decisions and not making mistakes that could have serious consequences.
That makes sense. We can't rely on AI if it's going to make mistakes.
Right. And that also means we need explainability. We need to understand how these RLMs are reaching their conclusions so we can catch errors and make sure they're being used responsibly.
So it's not enough for the AI to just give us an answer.
No.
We need to see how it got there.
Exactly. Transparency and accountability are key if we want to trust AI.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the potential impact of RLMs on jobs.
Okay.
Some people are worried that AI is going to automate jobs and people will be out of work.
It's a complicated issue, and there's a lot of discussion about it.
Yeah.
It's true that AI will automate some tasks that humans do now.
Right.
But AI can also create new opportunities and help people do their jobs better.
So instead of replacing humans, it's more like AI and humans working together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Each using their strengths to achieve more.
I like that.
And remember, these AI systems still need humans to design them, develop them, and manage them.
Okay, so it's not like humans are being completely replaced.
Not at all.
That's good to hear. It seems like it's about finding that balance between automation and human expertise.
Exactly. Using AI to make us better at what we do, not to replace us.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. We've learned so much about the potential of RLMs.
It's an exciting time for AI.
It really is. Yeah. But before we wrap up, I want to talk about the bigger picture, the philosophical stuff.
Okay.
Are you ready to talk about artificial general intelligence, or AGI?
Let's do it. The possibilities are endless when we talk about AGI.
I can't wait. Welcome back. We talked about what RLMs can do, how they're changing things.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But now it's time to get really futuristic. We're talking artificial general intelligence.
AGI, the big one.
This is where it starts to feel like, a sci-fi movie.
I know what you mean.
AI that's as smart as humans, maybe even smarter.
That's the idea. AI that can learn anything, solve any problem.
It's mind-blowing, but also a little scary, to be honest.
It's both, for sure.
If we create something that intelligent, how do we even control it?
That's the million-dollar question. A lot of researchers are trying to figure that out.
So do you think AGI is really possible, or is it just like a fantasy?
It's definitely a hot topic. Some experts think it's inevitable, just a matter of time. Others think human intelligence is just fundamentally different.
Okay, so let's say, just for fun, that we do achieve AGI. What would that even look like?
Well, probably not like robots walking around like in the movies.
Okay, good.
More likely, AGI would be integrated into our systems, our networks.
So kind of running things in the background.
Exactly. Optimizing everything, making decisions.
That raises so many questions, about control, about ethics.
Absolutely. We need to be thinking about those things now.
Because once we create AGI, it might be too late.
Right. We need to make sure it aligns with our values, that it's used for good.
This is all so fascinating and a little overwhelming, to be honest. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have, from the basics of RLMs to the potential of AGI.
It's clear that AI is changing the world in incredible ways.
And it's only going to get more amazing.
But we have to be careful. We have to be responsible.
Absolutely. The future of AI is in our hands.
So let's make sure we use this technology wisely for the benefit of everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI that thinks before it speaks. It's been an incredible journey, and there's so much more to come.